Every company, every team, they're all looking for that one thing, that secret sauce for success. Well, what if I told you a huge clue was found somewhere you'd never expect? We're talking about the university system in Saudi Arabia. Yeah, really. We're going to dive into this super interesting study that basically cracks the code on what makes a great leader, well, great. Okay, so check this out. This is where it all starts. In 2020, Saudi Arabia had about 70 universities. And out of all of them, guess how many made it into the world's top 200? Just one. A single university. Now that's not just some random stat, right? That's a huge puzzle. The country was pouring money and effort into its education system. So what was going on? Why weren't they seeing the results?
And that one number, well, it tells a much bigger story. The kingdom had this classic problem, one that I'm sure a lot of you have seen before. They had these huge, ambitious goals, but the results, they just weren't matching up. Sound familiar? It's a story that plays out in businesses and organizations all over the world.
And look, it's not like they weren't trying. They launched this massive national program with a super clear plan. Improve the curriculum, boost innovation, get students ready for the job market, bring in the private sector. I mean, on paper, this thing was flawless. It should have worked, but it didn't. The needle wasn't moving. So that's the big question. What was the missing piece of the puzzle?
This is where the researchers started to get really curious. If these big, top-down government programs weren't the whole answer, maybe, just maybe, the real solution was hiding inside the universities themselves. And not just anywhere, but right at the top, with the leaders. So they landed on this one. Critical question. And this is really the core of the whole study. They asked, is there a specific kind of leadership that can flip the switch and unlock all that potential? I mean, think about that. It's a huge idea, right? That maybe the right person in charge could be the spark that makes all those other big plans actually work.
So they focused on this one particular style, and they call it change-oriented leadership. Now, this isn't your typical manager who's just, keeping the trains running on time. No, this is all about looking to the future. It's about a leader who is constantly looking outside the organization, someone who's all about embracing new ideas, being flexible, and really adapting to whatever the world throws at them. It's leadership for what's next.
So what does that actually look like? Well, these are the leaders who are always thinking big, right? They're the ones coming up with wild new ideas and pushing for major changes. They're not afraid to take some risks for the good of the organization. And they're always playing the long game. But maybe the most important thing is, they get their teams fired up to find brand new solutions to old problems.
Okay, but here's where it gets really interesting. The researchers had a hunch. They thought, you know what? Even the best, most future-focused leader probably isn't enough all by themselves. Something was still missing. There had to be another piece to this.
And this is the key takeaway, the big aha moment. A leader's real magic isn't what they do themselves. It's not about being the hero who solves everything. It's about what they create. It's about the culture, the environment they build around them. A great leader's job isn't just to perform, it's to build a place where everyone can perform.
And this idea led them to something they called the performance chain. And honestly, the best way to think about it is like a line of dominoes. The first domino is the leader. They push it over by setting a bold vision and encouraging new ideas. Wham! That first domino hits the next one, organizational innovation. Suddenly, the whole place starts buzzing with new ways of doing things. And then that domino hits the last one, organizational performance. That's when you see the results. Better teaching, better research, better reputation. The leader starts it all, but innovation is that crucial middle piece that makes the whole thing work.
So that's a really cool theory, right? It makes a lot of sense, but is it true? A good theory needs proof. So that's what the researchers did next. They went looking for the data to see if they could actually connect these dots.
And to get that proof, they went straight to the people on the ground. They surveyed 219 of the top university leaders. We're talking presidents, deans, the whole shebang, all across the country. They wanted to see if this performance chain idea held up in the real world.
All right, so finding number one. The results came in, and yep, it was crystal clear. There was a direct link. The universities with these change-oriented leaders, they were performing better. Simple as that. So boom, the first part of their theory was spot on. But then there was finding number two, which added a whole new layer. It turns out these leaders weren't just getting better results out of thin air. The data showed they were also way better at building a culture of innovation. They were literally creating the exact environment that the theory said was so important.
And then came finding number three, and this is the real kicker.
This is what tied it all together. The data proved the whole domino theory. Innovation wasn't just some nice little bonus. It was the bridge. It was the critical link connecting leadership to performance. For the nerds out there, they call this a mediating factor, which is just a fancy way of saying it's the how. It's the secret ingredient that turns great leadership into great results. Okay, so this is all super interesting, but what does a study about universities in Saudi Arabia have to do with you? Well, everything. This is where we take these lessons and apply them to, well, pretty much any organization. It doesn't matter if you're running a startup, a big corporation, or a local nonprofit. The lessons here are universal.
And this quote from the study just nails it. It says that leaders should promote, support, and reward an innovation culture. Let me break that down. Your job as a leader isn't to be the genius with all the ideas. Your job is to be the gardener. You have to create the conditions where 1,000 flowers of innovation can bloom. You got to promote it, support it, and, this is key, you have to reward it.
So, what's the playbook? What can you do tomorrow? First, you have to be on the hunt for creative ideas and give your team real helpful feedback. But here's the absolute game changer. You have to reward the attempted innovation, not just the successful outcome. When you do that, you make it safe for people to take smart risks. It's about making sure your strategy, your culture, your budget, everything is pointing in the same direction, fueling that engine of innovation.
And all of this really boils down to one final, very personal question for you. Take a hard look at how you lead, your team, your company. Ask yourself, is my leadership a spark for innovation? Or, and be honest, could it be the fire extinguisher? The answer to that question might just be the secret ingredient you've been searching for all along. Thanks so much for tuning in.